the normal healing of the psyche, the becoming sane, you can say, this can happen, can take place within one's own personal work, using the normal relationships which we have, the loving, caring relationships. Healing from trauma is difficult alone. The traumatic experience is felt to be so dangerous that one hardly ever finds a person daring to enter into it with enough capacity not to get lost. Like it's like a black hole opening, it's like the legs giving way, you can't stand anymore, there's no more control, there's no more conscious control. And that's why healing from trauma is different than healing other emotional patterns, which are more in the conscious, semi-conscious mind. Here we are talking about highly unconscious areas where reactions to great suffering are stored, you can say, are remembered, not with the thinking mind, but as an emotional or actually physical memory. And you would need normally a person at your side stabilizing the awareness so that we are not re-traumatizing ourselves. We don't enter that area in an uncontrolled way. We only go close to it, being really connected to what we call the resource qualities, the qualities of our being, the trusting relationship, the loving relationship, and then kind of the energy of that trauma is released in a beneficial way without being increased. It is released and can, so to speak, evaporate into this loving awareness. There are different trauma techniques, different ways to do that. All of them have their field of appropriate application. But I would say that this childhood trauma, stress trauma, so shock trauma, and later emotional trauma in our early development, that these traumata are exactly where meditators need professional help. This is exactly the area which usually one cannot deal with alone. Now, there are some highly developed individuals who have learned so much about how to deal with trauma by reading and talking, that to some extent, because they have loving relationships around themselves, then they can begin dealing with that. But it is a longer process than if you take professional help for that. Usually it's longer. I won't exclude the possibility to do it yourself, but I would say that 99% of practitioners are not able to do it themselves. So that's how I would say that true trauma is different from other emotional patterns which are easier accessible to insight, to accept it, to embrace it, like fears, angers, desires, and so on. But basically I'm convinced that in the Buddhist practice the importance of relationship has been underemphasized. It should be emphasized stronger. I feel that Buddhist practice is very strong in personal practice on the cushion, and a little bit weak in teamwork, interaction, relationship processes. And Western Buddhists, not our tradition necessarily, but I mean, Ekayana is developing into that area, but American, English-speaking groups especially have focused more on that and have integrated emotional work and teamwork and relationship work more than most European communities. So there is a field of discovery. I have a little hesitation myself also because then sometimes I find they are already going into an overindulgence of teamwork and emotional discussions and so on, and it's not really liberating. So we need to find that and identify that emotional work that is actually liberating and not creating new identifications of me being the team collaborator and group worker and so on. And this will not be helpful. So there is a need to go into that direction. As we are going there, maybe we can already learn from those who have been swinging onto the other side, into another extreme, and find our way a little bit in the middle, But basically it would do us good, and it would do Asian communities good as well. The little I know of them, I would say it would be helpful.